It all does rattle back to 2014 when Gareth Lee walked into the Royal Avenue branch of Asher's Bakery. It was right there that he ordered a cake, but he wanted a slogan supporting gay marriage. All of that, not a problem with it. The company itself, who were Christians, when they seen the slogan on it, said, look, we don't want involved in this, we don't want involved in politics, as many retailers don't. They apologised, they refunded him his money, and he got his cake made elsewhere. The problems really come here is that Gareth then went to the Equality Commission of Northern Ireland. This is a commission that was set up by Mo Molan back in 1998. It replaced all the other commissions, the Fair Employment Commission, the Disability Commission. It became basically a super commission to look after the equality and equal rights of people in Northern Ireland. Now, you can only but imagine the stress and strain that was put on that family for all those years having to defend themselves against a court ruling. And Simon Calvert of the Christian Institute, we caught up with him, and he takes up the story from there.
I think, anyone can imagine what it's like to be on the receiving end of litigation, and that's a stressful thing. To be on the receiving end of litigation where you're accused of discriminating against someone, that's pretty horrible. And of course, initially in the county court and the Court of Appeal, the family lost. And the court said that they were discriminatory, and they knew they weren't. They knew they hadn't done anything wrong. And so it wasn't until they got to the UK Supreme Court that they were finally vindicated. I think that we were all disappointed that lawyers for the other side tried to resurrect it by taking the case to Strasbourg. But, it was the right outcome. I mean, the ruling from Strasbourg, in the end, it wasn't even close. They've thrown out Mr. Lee's case at the first hurdle. They've ruled it wasn't admissible. They've said it was doubtful whether his human rights were engaged at all. And in any event, he'd never made any of these arguments at any of the three previous stages of the case. So it was a pretty comprehensive, slap down for the appeal. But the family are just really very relieved that it's all over. So when the family first approached us, when the Equality Commission first intimated to them that they might sue them over this, we said that we would not only help them with the legal action and help them with the media and all of that, but that we would cover their legal costs. Christian Institute supporters donate generously to us to help exactly in cases like this. So by the time it was all done and dusted in the domestic courts, it had cost between both sides over £500,000. So we covered the Ashes costs, and the taxpayer through the Equality Commission for Northern Ireland covered Mr. Lee's costs.
Well, we did ask the Equality Commission to come on and give us some sort of reaction as to why they chose to back this case, and they sent us an email basically explaining where they spent the money, but don't seem to hold themselves accountable for why they backed the case in the first place. Why was this case so important to win? Number of reasons, but mainly because the winning of the case actually protects the minorities. It makes sure that nobody can walk in to somewhere and just demand something off a retailer that they don't want to do. It also sails very, very close to the wind with why businesses don't want to be forced to do business with other business. In other words, competition rules. Here's Simon Calvert again.
In our society, you have lots of people with lots of different views, and it's important, if we're going to get along together, that we allow one another to have those different views. And what was so shocking about this case was it was an attempt to force people to go against their most deeply held beliefs. And it's not difficult to imagine how, whatever kind of business you're involved with, sometimes you might get asked to do something that just goes against your most deeply held beliefs. If you are a Muslim and you run a printing company, why should somebody be able to force you to print cartoons of Muhammad? If you are a lesbian couple and you run your own bakery, why should someone be able to force you to do cakes saying that gay marriage is an abomination? I think most people instinctively know that's not the kind of society that they want to live in. And that's why it was so important that Ashes won their case. I think a lot of people have questions for the Equality Commission for Northern Ireland. Why, in the first instance, they decided to take sides on a very controversial issue and to bring a case against a Christian family over their views on an issue like same-sex marriage, when everybody knows, you might not like Christian views on it, but everybody knows that the mainstream Christian view is that marriage is between a man and a woman. And it's not a view that holds any animosity against anybody, it's just a belief about what marriage is. And so for the Equality Commission to come in on a controversial issue like that, I think a lot of people were very disappointed, because of course the Commission is meant to defend everybody's rights, not just the rights of one community as against another. And I think a lot of questions are being asked now about the fact that they spent over £250,000 of taxpayers' money on this, and they've lost. So I think the Commission's got a long way to go to rebuild trust, really, with the community at large, that it really does care about everybody's rights, and that they've got good judgment about which cases to back and which ones not to back.
Well, there is questions to be asked here, and I will be asking them, because the Equality Commission is an arm's length body. It is funded by, behind me here, the Executive Office, and on Monday I will be writing to the Executive Office and asking for someone from the Equality Commission to appear and explain to us why they seen fit to spend £250,000 of public money on a case that really was unwinnable.